there, and so that we could continue, kind of bringing people in from the past to the present about this UFO thing and where it's going. Because I think there's a lot been lost in translation over the years, especially when it comes down to the word disclosure. A lot of times that's all we hear. We talk about disclosure. They're going to tell us the truth. And by now, I'm sure you all have really realized that the game of disclosure will never go away. Okay. And so they may change the rules. They may sit here and say, we're going to tell you this, or you can tell us about that we know behind door number 2 and 3, but they're not going to admit 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 doors, what's behind that. And therefore the game of disclosure is the game. I truly believe that we have a lot of politics involved in disclosure right now. Some people are doing it for votes. Some people are not, but they're still crushing the stories. Now, don't get me wrong. We are further along than we were, only because the introduction of social media and phones and the timing. And it is said that the aliens or the extraterrestrials are saying that it is time that they want to expose the truth, and they want us to tell the truth, nothing but the truth and everything else. And so who's really in charge behind this? But what you're going to find out today in today's live stream, if we go into the Magic-12, you're going to find out that you're not going to be suckered into the politics side of this, because you're going to realize from way back when that the presidents and cabinets and congressmen and all have nothing to do with this thing that we talk about here, for UFOs, aliens, extraterrestrials, and all of above that goes there, because this thing is higher than their pay grade, higher than their clearance grades in some occasions, and it's been one of the secrets of all times. And even they, who have the most temporary offices, are not in control of that. So you're going to realize that. You're going to go realize it. So when next time you see the congressional hearings, or someone said, Tim Burchett, which is I'm a fan of his anyway, but man, I don't care about national security. And if you watched enough of these congressional hearings, you're going to hear them always say, well, we can't talk about that here, but I can tell you behind closed door. What the heck? Why waste the time? Why waste the time? So anyway, you're going to find out why. Because you're going to find out that there's a hard situation and something so high that's over the CIA, it's over the NSA, there is a group and organization that controls it all, and including information that we get. So we're going to go down that rabbit hole tonight as we go down to it. All right. So the first thing I want to do is make a quick announcement so that you all have this in your books or whatever. I had to kind of work on the dates here and everything else, but we're going to do this anyway. So according to the plan, coming up July, we're going to do it July 19th on 25th, or not 19th, but the 19th, 2025 this year, a couple of weeks from now, we're going to meet at either the Keith Park location, or I'm going to check out an indoor location. So, because it gets pretty hot here in Texas, but either way, if you're interested, and if you haven't been added to our text list, send me your name and telephone number information to that email, contact@WhyTheBigSecret.com. Maya and a lot of us will get together and we will put it together. And so we're going to be doing that with Lillian and a lot of us. We're going to go ahead and plan it. So anyway, that's the date. Saturday, July 19th, 2025 in Dallas. So if you live in the area or you know anyone in the area, we're going to hang out, meet up together and kind of chill. Yeah, bring the kids, whoever you want. It doesn't matter. We're going to, if we do it at the park or regardless. So that is the date. So let's put all of this in and let's put it together and let's do that. Okay, I can tell you in a closed setting. So what do you mean by that, Dr. Strange? Or unless y'all having a conversation without me, I have no clue when it comes down to that. But, y'all do talk around and all that stuff. All right, so let's get started. And get down when we start talking about the introduction secrets, Majestic-12. They had another name that I'm going to get into, and I've talked about this in the last few days. I actually talked about it early this week a few times to kind of give you some information that we are doing, and I mentioned magic and all this, but I'm going to give you the definition of that tonight. But anyway, buried in a super secret, majestic, or what they call magic eyes only classifications was a top secret thing. And in fact, this was above top secret. Major General Leslie Groves, the same general who commanded the Manhattan Project to develop the atomic bomb, kept just one copy of the details of the crashed alien technology in his safe in Washington, D.C. So also there was elite scientists such as Vannevar Bush, Albert Einstein, and then it was Robert Oppenheimer, and a career military people such as Vandenberg. There was a Hillary Coulter, Groves, Marshall, along with a select cast of people. Now, Einstein and Oppenheimer were called to give their opinion, drafting a 6-page title relationship with inhabitants of celestial bodies. So if you can see, this went all the way back to Albert Einstein. So as you can know, then this thing goes deep. This UFO extraterrestrial inhabited alien visiting Earth goes a long way back. And so therefore, don't just get it twisted when you think now we're seeing spaceships today and everything else. And so again, it's been one of the biggest secrets out there, bigger than the Epstein files, bigger than you name it, or the Kennedy situation, or any of this. Is huge. In fact, Kennedy was tied to this, most people rumored to say, of his situation from there. However, they also said they provided prophetic insight into our modern nuclear strategies, satellites, and expressed intense urgency that an agreement be reached with the president so that the scientists could proceed to study alien technology. And an extract of this document we're going to be talking about, and I'll try to put a link to it. In fact, we're probably Wednesday, I'll put a document in there in the chat so that you can download it. So we'll talk about it. So again, we're going to talk about this mostly all week, kind of bridging in the gap, because when you start getting down this rabbit hole with the Majestic-12 and all it goes really deep. It really does. It's not something that just sit out there in a small conversation. Oh, we just got somebody called Men in Black or MJ-12. No, it's not it. This is the blueprint or the DNA of our whole secret of this whole extraterrestrial phenomena, and when it began and how it has evolved and where it's shaped out to be today, and where most people are chasing the tail of this dog talking about it's going to be disclosure pretty soon. There's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And so and again, I must admit, when it first came out, I thought the gig was up. The jig was done. Roderick, there's no more need to be a UFO investigator. Everybody's going to find out about everything. You might as well just shut it down now. And it's been 2 or 3 years, and that panic attack was over with less than 2 minutes when I go, there ain't nobody going to tell nobody nothing. And so the bandwagon of disclosure has been going on for quite some time. Now, like I said, we are further along than we were before. Now, the extraordinary recovery of fallen airborne objects in the state of New Mexico between July 4th and July 6th, how, great is that? Now we're in the month of July, so we're we can say it's 1947 when this happened. So what would this be? An anniversary of what, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? 25 years, 75 years, yeah, 75, 80 maybe. Interplanetary Phenomena Unit, Scientific and Technical Branch, Counterintelligence, Intelligence. All these people were initiated with this thing, and what they thought was just a weather balloon. You remember that, right? People thought it was a weather balloon, and then all of a sudden it changed like that, right? In no time. So we're going into it. But the special unit that we're talking about here was formed in 1942. Now get the dates, 1947, and we're talking about 1942. In response to 2 crashes in Los Angeles area in February of 1942 around the Pearl Harbor stuff. Because if you start thinking about dates of massive intrusions or war type things that we're having, a lot of these things grew a lot of tensions because the bomb over, and I'm going to butcher this word, Hishmarosha or whatever, but let me stop right now. I got a grammar box. I got a letter box. And if you're here for the first time, the grammar box is over here to the left. It is a box. It's a virtual grammar box. Whenever you hear me butcher any of these words, I empower you to go in here and take the virtual, okay, you see me right there, pronunciation of whatever words that you want. Make sure it hits your consciousness the way you need to hear it. If you see any misspelling on the screen anywhere, chats or whatever that I do, then you go in there and get unlimited letters and you correct it yourself. Because again, I can butcher it as worst as I can, but I guarantee you, your conscious mind, your beautiful brain that you have would know what I'm saying, because you will say, he didn't say that right. So save the words, okay? Save it for all of us and everything else, and just know that you're smart, okay? Let's continue. All right, so here's the deal. The special unit, like I said, was formed in 1942. So we already know that we talk about the Roswell and all this stuff was in 1947. And that was supposedly be the birth of this whole thing. But if they formed a group in 1942, they have to have known something else that existed. And we're going to uncover some of that as we continue. Now, there was a draft summary report that began with the numbers, or began 2332 Mountain Time, July 1947, that came back, and it said radar stations in, check this out, in Texas and white signs proving ground in New Mexico tracked two unidentified aircraft until they both dropped off the radar. So this is why you'll see me say, located in this jumbo state where those UFOs come out to play. It's a Texas thing, y'all. This is why you see me put that together in pretty much. But anyway, so it started here in East Texas, which I'm in Dallas. I'm in Dallas, Texas. Well, the command center right now is in Mansville. We're in Kennedale. Mansville is where the studio and I call it command center. And if you ever have a chance to stop by, you'll see all of this stuff. But anyway, so we understand that Texas was part of the beginning of all of this. And I'm pretty excited about that when it comes down to it. But look, let's give you more details. There was two crashes. And I remember I was in a TV show on Fox Tubi, which was the Roswell, New Mexico anniversary, 75th. So that had to have been a year and a half ago. So yeah, I was on TV in that show. And there was, once the show producers began to talking to all the experts, they began to unravel that there was two crashes, and they didn't even know it. They were doing a TV show, and they just thought it was one crash, and until a couple of experts like myself and a few other ones was like, hey, there's two crashes. And it was like, hey, we're getting, because I was probably number 9 in the list, the day 3 when I had to show up for my parts. And so they had already been interviewing people, and it changed their whole directive of the show because they didn't even know. And I'm like, yeah. And so even right now, a lot of public didn't know that. So Google it and find out. So anyway, 75 miles northwest of a town, Roswell site, LZ2. Okay, so this was landing zone 2 is what LZ stand for, was located approximately 20 miles southeast of the town, Cerrado, at latitude 33, 40, 31, and longitude 106, 28, 29. I just gave you Pacific coordinates, so you can go check it out yourself, okay? You put this in your GPS, latitude 33, 40, 31, longitude 106, 28, 29. You go to the exact spot. You might find something that they've left over the years. Maybe the sandstorms or have uncovered something that was covered up back then or whatever. But even though you might even feel the energy of your counterparts, maybe your bloodline, because you're an alien yourself, you may be like, E.T. now made it home, whatever it may be. You go check that out for yourself and do that. So anyway, let's continue as we go down this hole. All right, so the first known UFO crash retrieval case occurred in 1941. So you kind of see already we're talking about years apart. So you already knew that this thing, when the public started really hearing about it, was years later. So they already kind of knew. But anyway, in 1941, this is in Cape Canaveral, Missouri, or Canaveral or whatever. So anyway, once again, grammar box. This crash kicked off early reverse engineering work, but it did not create a unified intelligence effort to exploit possible technological gains apart from the Manhattan Project, which you're talking about there are just so many stuff out there. You already the Philadelphia experiment, all of this stuff. Well, could it be what we learned from the retrieval was necessary for our development of the atom bomb? If you think that, we have been so advanced as humans, that we have grown into the iPhones and iPads and all of this technological advancement that we've had, you may know a mistake about it. There have been some interventions. You should know that, right? There's been some people, some things from far off places that have come here. Even if you talk about what was the guy that they held for 3 years? His name was, I don't know. Y'all remember the alien name, whatever his name was. It was Creole Crow. I don't know. Maybe one of y'all tell me. But remember, they kept that commander for quite some time here, and he landed. God, what was the alien's name? Well, not the one in this book. But anyway, he came and gave us technology for medical and energy and all that. And our president took a month to get back to him and gave him a thing. Said, no, we can't do this. It'll destroy our economy. So, like I said, they've been here before. But I forget the name if y'all understand what we're talking about. Anyway, so I'll give a shout out to Scrimp. Said, love you, Roderick, for the knowledge. Thank you, Scrimp. Not Shrimp, but Scrimp. Thor. Yes, Charles. Appreciate it. Thor. That's who it was. And he the one gave us information, and he was here for a while, for 2 or 3 years, man. And they helped this dude. And like I said, this has just been crazy things that they have been doing that a lot of people just don't pay attention to. But anyway, let me keep going. All right, so the debris from the primary field of the 1947 crash 20 miles southeast of Socorro, whatever, New Mexico, was called ULAT-1, unidentified electrical aerial technology. And it excited a lot of people with this unheard of tensile and shear strengths. Remember, the material supposed to be like aluminum, that they can bend it and all. It was so light, but it couldn't be broken. It was, well, obviously it was. It broke up into pieces when it crashed, or we shot it down, which is the rumor of, Valve Thor, And so maybe that was the situation there that we need to talk about, or we'll get into. Well, anyway, the fusion nuclear, called neutronic at the time, engine used heavy water. Now think about this. It used heavy water and deuterium, which oddly arranged series of coils, magnets, electrodes, and descriptions that resemble cold fusion studies of today. Let me stop right there for a minute. They found parts of this crash from somewhere else. And the engine parts, that was the propulsion of the system that traveled this thing light years through space. Listen to what I just said, okay, real closely. They found that this thing could possibly have been running off heavy water, okay? And therefore, we've heard people right now that have been shut down, locked up, disappeared for filing patents on engines running off water. And if you don't think water carries some power, then you should go back into our anatomy. As we know, we're humans. We are, 70, 80% water, or if not mistaken, Earth is 75% water or 73% water, in fact, or more. And we as humans has only explored 3% of water on this earth, the oceans. We haven't even never went to the depths of the ocean. And when they come, they're always water, water, water. Every time you see an attack in the movies, they're here for this backwater planet. For some reason, they've been giving us signals that it's something about the water. We drink water. We can't live without water. And all of a sudden, they're flying these things with water, but yet we're using gasoline every day. Yet we're drilling into the earth, pulling out its essence and its oil and all of this stuff, causing all type of calamities in the sky. But yet they found a spacecraft. So they knew all along that water had the potential of doing what we do today with fuel. But nobody's going to tamper with that, because you're talking trillions of dollars of economy all across this globe. Even today, with the conflict that you had in these two places recently that was rocketing each other, regardless to the fact how many rockets that they shot, how many things that we dropped, we were not dropping nothing on the oil, which will cripple a country if that's what we wanted to do. But no, we're going to bomb this and they're going to do this and potentially people getting hurt. But no one touches the oil, even over there from Russia and these other folks. They're going at it and they're still buying oil from each other. Can you believe that? And the citizens and people don't even care. It's crazy how all of this. But however, just like they said, they found a fusion nuclear part in 1947 crash that had heavy water and deuterium with oddly arranged series of coils, magnets, and electrodes and descriptions that resemble cold fusion that they have today. So Harry Truman kept the technical briefing documents on September the 24th, 1947. Now, supposedly, what's his name? Val Thor came with that same information. So it's not been that these aliens, the extraterrestrials, hadn't been trying to give us that information over time. Somebody has felt that it's been appropriate enough that we needed to have this information. And for not just for the survival of the earth, but for the potential of the planet. But nobody really wanted to take in that information. So there we have it. We get it right then and there. So let's continue. Well, regardless of this, Human kept it, the briefings documents and the further study, pondering the challenges of creating and funding a secret organization before the CIA even existed. Although the Central Intelligence Group, or CIG, did exist before it was a legal procedure of funding non-war operations. So in 1954, a group of senior officers of intelligence, and what you're going to find out as we go deeper, the Rockefellers have been involved in this, right? You're going to be like, what? The Rockefellers? Yeah. See, when we start talking about symbolism and secret societies and all this different stuff, we try to tie all of this in. And I think there is a real void from people thinking that the secret societies and all this stuff, are not tied into the extraterrestrial stuff and how they're just disconnect. And they've done a great job of getting people off the scent that all this stuff still goes all the way back to Iran, Iraq, and all these other places, the giants, the Nephilims, the Anunnakis, and all of this. It comes all the way back down into technology of where we are today. But there's a disconnect, and they got most people hunting over to the conscious side, some people hunting over here, some in the paranormal and all this. But all of this stuff is under one umbrella. You better believe it. And they have been hiding this from day one. Now, in 1954, there was a group of senior officers of the intelligence community and armed forces gathered for one of the most secret and sensational briefings in history for you young folks and me. And the subject was unidentified flying objects. This is where the term UFO came and was coined back then. All right. And so today, to throw even you younger folks off the hunt, they have converted to this thing called UAP. And unidentified area phenomena. The reason they did this is because the UFO had its own brand. UFO, unidentified flying object, began to have a brand of mysterious and just this whole thing. And they was like, oh, we don't want to create fear because people are getting ready to see more UFOs in the sky. Well, we're going to call it UAPs then. Either way, it's still unidentified area phenomena. Unidentified flying aerial is in the air flying. It's like they just changed it because they didn't want the fear and the mystique of all this years, especially of ufologists like myself, were looking at UFOs and ufology as the subject matter. So let's just clear all of it out. Ain't nobody going to call themselves I'm not areanologist. I don't know, right? Or areology. Or we're not doing that, right? So it's all in the parts of them doing what they were doing. And so just keep in mind that the trick was on a long time ago. There is a manual. Like I said, you can probably Google it, but it's called Special Operational Manual SOM1-01, Extraterrestrial Entities, Technology, Recovery, and Disposable. That thing is out. That document is out. Some people say it's true or not, but then they have validated. I'll put that in the description of the video, I think Wednesday or maybe tomorrow night, because I think we might be here tomorrow. I'll be on Forbidden Knowledge, but I think I'll do an after show here. But regardless, Wednesday and Thursday we'll be here. But we're going to put that document into conversation because it'll really go really well with when we discuss stuff in the book and stuff too coming up this week. So I think all of that will work as one. Majestic-12 red teams mapped out a UFO cache retrieval scenarios with special attention given to press blackout, body packaging, and live alien transport, isolation, and custody. It's very something, even when they did the package, I mentioned this before because this was when I got discovered for Discovery Channel. I did that video about the $600 relief. Remember a few years back, they was giving all of us $600 and everybody was, oh yeah, they're giving us money. And to approve it, they needed to pass this 5,500 page whatever to approve the $600, but that's all everybody was focusing on. In there, hidden in one of those pages, which is in plain sight once you saw it, was a provision for them to capture. They wanted money so they can capture a alien and UFO. So they can't really hide it from the public, but they did put it out there because they got the funding passed. I mean, because we voted for the $600, or people was like, yeah, send us the money. But they really was getting trillions of millions of dollars for that. But the problem is these people sat here and said, we want to go capture. And remember, I've told you, we've probably been the most aggressive species than those, well, I can't say. It's half and half. They've been, getting us and taking people to other places and taking whole civilizations. Probably why all the Mayans and all those people came up missing. They're probably on another planet somewhere. So there's just been a back and forth thing. But regardless, for us to say we want to do it in the open. So Majestic-12 documents tell a mind-blogging story of deception, intelligence, and counterintelligence. And so we're going to get into why did they create this program. Now, I just gave you a kind of a skates to it, but I want you to know Majestic-12 is still alive today. It really is. It is still high popping today. And a lot of people may be like, well, no. It is going on today. You better believe it. See, we're going to go all the way back to World War II. And it came to an end, and our government was immediately being confronted with events which were to change the future of us and humanity. There was a lot going on back there. Remember, they was trying to get to the moon. We was trying to beat it was just so much trying to prove who was superior. President Truman and his top military commanders found themselves in a very powerful, if not dizzy position after they had just won the most devastating war in history. Like, what do we do now? Even you remember Shaka Zulu? Remember he took over? He went back and defeated, well, not really, but took his throne from when his father, left. And the guy said, okay, Bughazi or whatever, Bughazi or whatever they called him, well, not that. They called him something. Well, anyway. So the guy said, all right, Shaka, now that you got your place, he said, what are you going to do? And he said, war. And the dude said, what do you mean? He says, yeah, war. And then he says, well, what happens when there's no more wars? Then Shaka said, I'll just create one, Bumani. The same concept, right? When the war is over, we just need to find something else to do. It's profitable. It's the deal. It keeps everybody busy and everything else. So they continue this in other ways. And it's just kind of funny because this happens in all primitive life as well as sophisticated life and everything else. But anyway, plus the U.S. had developed and used and was the only nation on earth that created the atom bomb. I'm connecting. I had detour with Shaka story, but I'm talking about Truman and the rest of them. So we had used the atom bomb, which alone had the potential to destroy any enemy out there and even Earth itself. That's what drew, when that thing was going on, that's when all the extraterrestrials start coming. Like, well, what are them dummies doing? What are they doing down there? And pretty much. And so it's just kind of crazy. In fact, as you know, I'm a storyteller. So let me give you a story of how this really works. And you would do probably the same thing. Make no mistake about it. So I want you to visualize yourself as aliens or something. I don't know. Okay. But just think about you have in your front yard, you're chilling with your wife, your boo, your significant other, your partner, your whatever, because these days it doesn't matter. Okay. Just you and someone else is chilling and y'all having some iced tea on the porch. You got a beautiful lawn, and all of a sudden, the red ants over there and the black ants are starting to fight, right? Okay, and you see stuff in the yard, and all of a sudden, and you see all of a sudden they're shooting stuff at each other and all that, and you and your wife, his girl, boy, homie, whatever, said, dude, those ants, which is us, metaphorically, is gonna burn the place down. So these are the aliens saying, look at those ants down on Earth. Look what they're doing. And all of a sudden, we both said, let's walk over there and take a closer look. So we get in our little spacecraft footsteps and walk over there, and we look down and we see these ants just warring. And one of us look and say, you know what we need to do? We need to go to Home Depot or Lowe's. I just plugged, or maybe they'll pay for a commercial. And let's exterminate the whole colony. Let's get rid of all of them. I did it before. I did it. I've told y'all there was a colony of ants. One of them, I was sitting on my porch, one bit me, and it ticked me off so bad. When I looked up, they was, you know how the queen is moving around, so they all was out there, and but one bit me. He bit the king, right? Why? I have dominion over this place. This is my office. This is I am the sugar honey iced tea, and you bit me. So I went in there and got the raid that I bought because I own it. The destruction machine. It's capable of spraying and killing and doing all the things it did. And I put my power and finger behind it, and I sprayed and I wiped out everybody. They were screaming. They were whatever. So it's the same thing. Is all I'm saying is that we're just lucky. We're really lucky. All right. That's my story for you. But but y'all grab me, right? Put in a note. Put in a chat if you get where I'm coming from. I'm saying I sprayed the whole colony. I wiped them all out because they bit me, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna be at the pearly gates and they're gonna tell you destroyed an apple, a mustard seed ant. He was carrying a mustard seed for a new forest, and you wiped out the whole colony. Well, he gave me dominion, right, and free will, so you can't do nothing about that. All right. So anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I wiped them all out. They were screaming, right? Okay. So anyway. So one of the things that they were saying was that they needed to develop something. And so the U.S. now had the best economy right after about this time. The most advanced technology, the highest standard of living at that point, exerted powerful influence, and possessed the largest, most powerful military force in history. And right to this day, and I've said it before, do not follow the propaganda if you think we are afraid of any country out there that's on this earth. There is none. There is none that has more powerful or feared military force and might of the United States of America. I'm just sorry if anyone doesn't believe that. If you was in the armed forces in another country, ask the people who are not there by your side what happened to them. We have stuff that fly in the dark. We got stuff that fly underground over here, blow up things and see things. And, we got stuff that the other countries buy from us. This old stuff. It's like them buying a 2000 Cadillac and we're riding an Escalade of 2026 and further beyond. And so don't worry about all of that. However, that all came from what? Down aircraft. It all came from reverse engineering and all these things. So let the record show to get it. He said, don't give Rod the nuclear codes. Well, I mean, you know what? You give me the nuclear codes, I'm going to flex, buddy. I'm going to flex. I'm going to be walking around like, hey, I got this. Well, anyway, so let's go to the creation of Majestic-12 so that you understand what is really happening. And then I'm going to give you the meaning of MAJI or whatever they want to call it. I mentioned that a few times last week. I didn't really give y'all the explanation, but this is the most lethal group of them all, and I'll share why. The top secret operation Majestic-12 was established by the order of President Harry S. Truman in 1947. So make sure you document. I'm going to give you a whole chronological thing so that you know. And then by the end of this week, we're going to bring it all up to current. So, and then we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff lately because I think it's time. So when you hear Nibiru, you hear all of this, you got to know the alien stories that's involved so that we continue down the road. Operation Majestic-12 was created to take charge of technological, sociological, and other aspects of crash UFO and small alien occupants, dead or alive. They didn't care. And that were recovered in later years. This operation evolved into became known as MAJI, M-A-J-I. I want you to keep that in mind, okay? And when I give you an explanation of this right now is your pinnacle top of this pyramid, okay? What we're talking about. It's called the Majority Agent for Joint Intelligence. This by far is the most lethal agency that we have, and you better believe it. It ain't got nothing on the CIA, FBI, NSA. All of them fall under this purview when it comes down. When they show up, all bets are off. MAJI is the most secret of intelligence groups, and it outranks all the intelligence agency, including, like I said, national security agents, NSA, the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. MAJI supposedly responsible directly and only responsible well, let me back up. And let me clarify this too. They're supposedly responsible to directly talk to only one person, but check this out, to the President of the United States. I want you to listen to that for a minute, because this is going to twist you up, what I'm about to tell you. MAJI is the most powerful group or organization above everything. And they're only supposed to talk to the President of the United States. But check this out. But the facts show that the decisions being made are much higher than that, at a higher level, so the president will never be informed. You get what I just told you? This group that exists, supposedly to be talked into the President of the United States. MAJI is over, or really kind of a magic or whatever. I call it MAJI, but MAJI. So you can call it MAJI or whatever. Majestic-12. It's higher than Majestic-12. They're kind of camouflaged above that. But they're only supposed to, because when Truman put it in place, they're only supposed to answer to the President of the United States, which we know that's a temporary office, 8 years, 4 years, whatever. But somehow they have got to a point where we don't need to ask if we don't tell. They don't tell him nothing. That's why they don't know. And so they can't inform him, or he's not informed of what he doesn't know that exists, even though when it was formed, their scapegoat, if someone ever was to discover them, is to say, well, we only answer to the president. And then when they go talk to the president, you need to talk to this group. And he go, what group? Well, this group. What group? Well, you need to talk to him about what. Well, I don't know nothing about that. So the president can't give an order of what he doesn't know. They can't get nothing when they discover him, because they only can hear from the president, and the president doesn't know. And they can't tell the president what he needs to know to tell them what to do, because he doesn't know, and they doesn't know, and nobody knows. That is like the perfect plan, right? Man, it's perfect. Beautiful. It's all beautiful. All right. So MAGA, like I said, so magic and MAJI. So those are kind of the interchangeable terms. The top secret magic project control group is responsible for every aspect of the interface with the alien life forms, including security, intelligence, disinformation, to prevent public or foreign disclosure of alien presence. And it's going on in Washington, D.C., which, as you know, is not really a part of us. It's sitting out there by itself. MAJI is the security disclassification of all MAJI and Aquarius information. We talked about that. Magic, MAJIC, means MAJI control, MAJI control, which magic is the highest security classification in the nation. So while we think we have security, top clear, security, whatever, top secret or whatever, there is a higher classification, which is roaming around. Now, I work for the Defense Corporation. I can't really tell you the name of who it was, but when I was in my 20s, I had a secret clearance. When I was in my 20s, I was recruited from school. The college I was attending, and I had to come back to Dallas, and the rest was history. I was there for 2 years in an underground program here in this area somewhere. I can tell you that much. Like I said, I finally was debriefed. Oh my God, 5 or 6 or 4 years ago, maybe. And it was a long time. But anyway, and I was 20 at the time. And I knew then of the advanced weaponry that we had when I was 20 years old. And that was a long time ago, 30 some plus years ago, just let you know. All right, so let's keep going. The group was made up of a team. And let me kind of see if I have a list of those people. I think I put it in my thing here to kind of show you. And you might can read it, you might can't. It's really small. Oh, yeah, it's really small. You're not going to be able to see that. But anyway, I'll call out some of the stuff that was part of this original team. And the Rockefellers, by the way, is on that list, by the way, which is pretty daunting there. Yep. Stepdaddy said decisions on not telling the public doesn't come from the White House. Absolutely, it does not. It comes way up above. You better believe that. Way up above, And those are things that they really pay attention to. All right, so already station identification. If you're already, this Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority, please hit the like button. Let's see what we got. How many likes on this thing already as we are just moving down the rabbit hole of what we're doing. All right, so we have 60 likes. Let's see if we can get a little more from you. That'll be pretty cool. Thank you. Let's get to 100 as quickly as we can. All right, so the group was made up of team representing selected government officials, U.S. intelligence personnel, highly trained scientists, business executives. See, this is the problem that I have. Business executives and military personnel all were sworn to secrecy, and MAJI has continued as a covert activities with the knowledge and consent of the last 8 presidents. So the president signed off on it every time, but they just don't know. The group continues to function today as they had the responsibility of establishing an ongoing relationship dating all the way back to 1964 with the UFO being the Greys. And listen to where I'm getting ready to go next, okay? Listen to the words that's about to come out of my mouth. I want to give you an alert system so that you know we're not talking about all of this bull when I say some of the things that I've said. Once again, establishing an ongoing relationship dating from 1964, hint, hint, with UFO beings, the Greys, hear what I'm about to say next, from the third planet of the star system, Zeta Reticuli. Zeta Reticuli. Do you know who's there from Zeta Reticuli? Put the answer in the chat if you know. Then y'all can kind of just zone this thing in or check out the banner of the channel, whatever. But if you know what I'm talking about, put it in the chat that you know who is mostly known to be from Zeta Reticuli, okay? And if you think that's not existing, I'm just telling you, they already knew this a long time ago. You got Zeta Greys. There's somebody else from Zeta Reticuli, though. Let's keep it going. There's someone else that they know that comes from there. Just, you know, and yes, on your lips, just go ahead and put it out there. You know who I'm talking about. And I'm going to use the word reticula. That should give you enough right there. Hint, hint. You should be able to check the box when it comes down from there. Yep, we'll go with that. We'll go with that, Dr. Strange. They should put 2 to 2 together and know what we're talking about here. All right, so at this point, information forwarded to the activity of MAJI has also been assigned to the top secret classification known as MAJIC or Majestic, but it's called MAJIC, MAJIC, and then we'll go from there. So MAJI also concealed its existing adapt from the cover name Majestic-12. So this is where the cover name came. Majestic-12 is where the cover name came. The Herbal said what's going on. Like I said, we made an announcement July the whatever date. I forgot to put it up. I forgot just that fast. All right, so July the 19th is where we're going to meet. Our meet and greet, y'all. So screenshot this on your phones. Saturday, July 19th. Email me so y'all can get on our text list and all that. We're going to be at Keys Park, or there's another location I'm looking at that's indoors. So if it's just going to be too hot to be on Keys Park, then we will more likely go indoors. Okay, I just need to figure out what it's going to cost us to do if we do that, which I'm sure we can get it worked out. All right, so anyway, Majestic-12 creates numerous covert compartmental subdivisions. Now, we talked about some of these, and I think it's important for you to know Project Aquarius, Sigma, Snowbird, Garnet, name a few. These projects were sheltered by MAJI and directed by select personnel of the Central Intelligence Agency and NSA in all of this. And we're going to get a little more into this, but I'm going to tell you something called the Trilateral Commission. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Let me put the insignia up here. This is the trilateral insignia, but make no mistake about it. This is something that, you know, people wear here or they have it here, but they got this from aliens. The aliens was wearing this. And so now they adapted the name and all of that. So we will get into that pretty much from there. And yeah, if you think they're good, that's what you think. He says the Zeta lizard humans are good. All right. Tell that to the person who they took. And then they'll be like, nah. All right. So anyway, President Eisenhower takes office at this point. Okay. So this is after Truman. And during his first year in 1953, at least 10 more alien crashes discs were recovered, along with 26 dead and 4 live aliens. Of them, 10 was found, and listen to, if you lived in this place, of the 10, 4 was found in Arizona, 2 in Texas, 1 in Mexico, and 1 in Louisiana and Montana and South Africa. And there was hundreds of sightings. This is incredible when you think about it, though, that they have been finding these people, aliens, and all the time. Also, on a side note, Roderick, your team is amazing, as well as the intro is a whole vibe always. Thank you, Scrimp. I haven't been doing it in a while, but we have. I bought Luminous Pendant, but no phone call. When you did not get a phone call from me, Rebecca? When did you buy it? Is it Rebecca or not? Did you do it through CashApp or did you do it through the internet? Because I mailed out all of them. So, and I know in order for me to mail out, I would have to get the address. So when did you buy it? Please let me know. Unless you did it today. You did it today? Did you do it on the you did it on the website? If you did it on a website, that's all automated. It goes through, we print, send it out. But if you did it on the website and I got your number in the order, I will give you a holler tomorrow. But let me know first, okay? How did you buy it, or I think you bought it this morning, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, appreciate you though. I mean, that we want to make sure you know. But if you did it on the internet, I would just created the order tickets and then shipped it out. The Cash App is where we had got the number. But anyway, make sure you let me know. All right, so let's keep going here. So Eisenhower takes office. This is now the new president at the time. In 1953, during his office, like I said, there was a bunch of crashes. Some was in Texas, Arizona. So they've had history of these aliens coming down. So this has been happening all the time. Once you get down. Yes, you did it today. Okay, so I mailed it out already. I didn't thought, but yeah, because when you did it online, it just comes through the thing. But I tell you what, I will. I'll make sure if your number is on the order, then I will give you a call. All right, and then I will now say that if any of you order online and you put in your number, I'll still call you. Okay, so thank you for bringing that to my attention, and I will do just that. Or you'll receive a text from my cell phone later after the show, and then you'll know it's me. Okay. All right. So I appreciate you though. Thank you. All right. So anyway, so they was having problems maneuvering in our atmosphere. So here's something I want you to kind of know how things evolve. They were saying that these aircraft were having problems and they were being brought down by us. Remember the Roswell, they said that they crashed because they heard, or maybe we hit them with some kind of weapon or something. It has been claimed that our radar system was causing these UFO problems. And it didn't take long for the government, the big secret keepers, to realize that. And then they turned that radar system into what we call a direct EM drive or direct energy weapon, which caused them to crash. And so that's been another problem there, because these people have just been flying by, observing us over the years, and they probably was doing that in the Stone Age. They was doing it way back then when it came down. They was doing it when we were, just way back there. You get what I'm saying? Way back there. And there's a book, I used to have it right here, but it's called The Chariots of the Gods. And I've said it before, so I'll just keep reiterating a little bit. But The Chariots of God was one of the most selling UFO books of all time. It sells hundreds and thousands of copies. But they called UFO chariots back then because we didn't have airplanes in the sky. They just saw something. And chariot at that time, if you remember from the Roman days, would carry people. So obviously they knew that these chariots would carry people, so they called them that. All right. And so that leads you all the way back to Project Black, which is the Black League of Alien Contact Knowledge, which we are still working on that behind the scenes. We only have a few people that was willing to come public, like my guy, Charles, and a lot of other people. But we still, man, I probably got 70, 80 people, but they don't want to go public. It's like, wow, what can we do? But anyway, it goes back to chariots, and chariots was what the name was in the sky back then, if you remember. So if you didn't think that UFOs existed, then you can go back to one of the songs that supposedly our slaves, or not our slaves, our ancestors as slaves were singing at the time. And I'll just give you a quick thing on it.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming to take me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming to take me home.
So obviously they saw them as chariots back then. And so obviously we were shooting them down, and we probably started all the problems. You get what I'm saying? We probably started all the problems. So I'm still working on my singing. Okay. I'm not a professional at it. And pretty much, but you get what I'm saying though. They probably saw the deal. We was like, all right, so they're coming down by our radar systems. Let's use it. And then we turned it into a thing. Some early UFO reports state that the UFO crashed when they were lit up by the secret and experimental early government radars. Now, if the UFOs use ME drives like they said, wouldn't it make sense that they was very powerful, what they call microwave M radiation, and might have interfered? And it's so again, it's advancements that we've had, and we pretty much have gone through many of that. All right, so I'm going to move forward into Eisenhower inherits Majestic-12, and now we're going to get into some names that was in it and some people that I think you should know. And pretty much, Stepdaddy says, let's say you're a CEO of a big company and they predict that on Friday 13th you won't be around. That means me, and on the 11th I'm telling everything, all the secrets. Well, I will tell you this, that I found a secret document that someone sent me a few years ago from the credit card companies. All right, all the credit card companies. They had a provision that said if there was a time that there was an announcement of a ELE, which is an extension level event that is going to strike Earth or whatever, that everyone who has a credit card will be turned on for unlimited purchases. You can buy as much as you want. There's no credit limit anymore. Boom, boom, boom. Now, the reason they said that they had, this is in their guides, by the way, because they feel that if that asteroid misses us by any chance, oh Lord, would they have made them some money having the world as slaves in debt. Okay. And this is similar to what you just said. So you better believe that they were there. She said, keep your day job. Okay, I'm with you. All right. So, but you get what I'm saying, that they knew. So by executive memorandum, the NC 5410, Eisenhower had preceded NSC 5412-1 in 1954 to establish a permanent committee known as Majestic-12 to oversee and conduct all covert activities with alien questions. NC 5412-1 was created to explain the purpose of the meetings. Now check this out. Majestic-12 was made up of Nelson Rockefeller. Now, I'm going to pause there for a minute. Because if you go back to Fritz Springmeier, which is one of the books that I have, the 13 Illuminati families, if you go back to that, you go back to that book, to the original family, and there's a couple other, I think, maybe on here. And the Illuminati, the original, the Rockefeller, Rothschilds, and all this. You see that the Rockefellers have been part of our educational system, funding it since its indoctrination. And when you can control the education, you can control the teaching. Now, of course, if you can control the teaching, you can control the ideology of the individuals. So he was made up part of the Majestic-12 when it originated. The most highest, and he wasn't even a military person, but he funded. They funded the banks. They funded the economic system. So the control from the top. Now he's also, when I say he, the Rockefellers are tied back to the original Illuminati 13 bloodlines. And if you followed the stories, the original Illuminati bloodline ties all the way back. And let me put some indication up here for you so that you kind of know. It ties all the way back to the top of this triangle, okay? And if you can see the faces up there, you'll kind of get where we are going without me saying. So I won't say it, but you got to figure it out. So Trump so-called the release of UFO files. What do you think about that? Nothing. He's just trying to, he ain't releasing nothing. Releasing it will, you know, that's not going to happen. That's why I told you at the beginning of this thing, don't fall for that stuff, man. You just watch the last hearing, they ain't released nothing. Same circles. All right, the Majestic-12 was made up Nelson Rockefeller. The director of CIA at the time was Allen West Dulles. The Secretary of State was Foster Dulles. They were related. The Secretary of Defense was Charles Wilson. The Chairman of Joint Chief and Staff was Arthur Rayford. And the director of the FBI at that time was J. Edgar Hoover, and you already know his deal. And 6 men from the Executive Committee of Council of Foreign Relations was known as the Wise Men. And that's going to turn into another group that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. But if you start really connecting the dots, now you hear me tell you that the Majestic-12 was consisting of the military-industrial complex. That's who runs everything. That's the power of unseen. That's over the offices of offices that we have. You better believe that one. All right. But yet then who's funding them and where their money come from goes all the way to the top. So now you understand why disclosure will never go away when you have money, the military, and all these people and other people are part of this whole thing and hiding the truth from us. And while we sitting there thinking we're going to hear about it, like I said, they'll tell us anything we know. They will confirm anything that we can give them enough evidence that they cannot get out of. They'll confirm that. But they will not open their hands and say, what y'all didn't ask is about this right here. They're not going to never do that. Ever, 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 ever. And yet, you know, we're walking down this rabbit hole of those things. That's just not going to happen. Most of these men were members of secret societies. Listen to me again. Now you should be able to start gathering the shafts of this wheat to build you of some bread to eat off of, the stories. Because now I'm tying in what most people didn't really think that happens. And when I will put these things up and try to show people that this triangle is not only built with these celebrities, the control systems, MK Ultra, media, and then you have elites, then you have overlords, then you have the shadowy people. This thing is big when it comes down to this phenomena, right? And so people don't seem to connect the dots. They think it's just over here. And when it's more than just over there, right? It's really huge when it comes out. And I think it's very important that over these weeks that we start connecting these dots for you so that you know what's really happening today as we go back into the past and continue to move forward into the future. All right, so now here's another name I want you to research. Most of these men were members of a secret society that called themselves the Jason Society. Look that up. Google the Jason, Jason, like Jason Bourne or whatever you want to do. The Jason Society. You're going to get a kick out of that information. Or, you know, they had another name, the Jason Scholars. So make sure you go and look that stuff up. And who was recruited? Their members. Check this out. So we have the MJ, all right, 12, made up of Rockefellers, military. These people came from the Jason Society or the Jason Scholars. And then secret society. And where they members came from is a Skull and Bones and the Scroll and Key. And both of these were the societies at Harvard and Yale. Do y'all get where we're building this thing that you can kind of get a vast view of how deep the layers of this UFO alien thing goes? And why most of these secret societies are into rituals that we talk about, rituals, and, obedience code systems of the human race. They're all plugged into this from outer space, right? They're plugged in from way out there. And like I said, people just not connecting these dots, and they just think it's Illuminati this, or secret society that, or government over here, oh, paranormal over here, oh man, the lizard people doesn't really exist. Are you kidding me? Really? They all know, and they all are intertwined. They may not be all working together. I ain't say that, because greed is greed. Everybody who wants to control the billions of people, that 1%ers up there. However, these dots are interchangeable, weaved together, and I just mentioned it. So you got the MJ-12, you got the magic group that's over all of the top 3 letter words, and over the presidents who sit here saying, I'm going to release the files. BS. No, he's not. He's going to release whatever he think, but he ain't going to release nothing. Okay. And then you got the hidden factors of this information. He said, Google it. Jason's has the bodies. I appreciate you. I was wondering where they went. There you go. There you go. He just put it up there. That's what I'm saying. People don't know about a lot of this stuff, but yeah, Google it. They have it, and these people are part of Skull and Bones and all of that. And so you already know the Bushes and all that was part of Skull and Bones. Now y'all get how deep the layers of the UFO extraterrestrial lineage is, and how these people have gained massive wealth over hidden technology. And when you see that the Majestic-12 is full of scientists and then also businessmen, so the businessmen are saying, we got the money, the military people say we need the weapons, and so they can all coordinate these things together, and they're making gazillions of dollars. Gazillion, and maybe that's a word, but it is probably a word, because I don't know how much money that is. These families are just making mega money, and they've been doing it across the board. And this is why I started the Luminous thing. And now y'all got to understand, we got to have our own code, our own situations of knowledge, the hidden truth, the owl, the symbolic stuff of this. And again, she said she bought hers today, and like I said, I'll call. But listen, I'm saying this is why we represent this, and I'm gonna share a personal thing with you all when we end this in a little while to what I'm about to do. So, but you get what I'm saying, is that this is important so that we understand how this web of lies, by the way, this web of secrecy, by the way, this well of financial bottomless pit, by the way, all on the backs of citizens and everything else. And the system is designed so that they can keep it happening when it goes from there. Now, the wise men were key members of the Council of Foreign Relations. The hits just keep on coming. The 12 members, which probably, think about it. Now, this is just me making this up. The 12 members, why did they pick 12? Were they trying to figure they are godlike people? They know the truth, the disciples, the 12 disciples, or that is just me speculating now. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. This is just me in my mind wondering why y'all want 12? Why not 20? Why not 14? Why not 9? Why not 7? But 12. Oh, or you trying to be the next, Now, they are ruling the world, so maybe they got it right at some point. Maybe they did. I don't know. However, let me go back, and I'm going to tie something else in for you so you get to keep it going. The 12 members, including the first 6 of government positions, thus the majority 12. The group was made over the years of top officers, director of Council of Foreign Relations, and later, let me put the symbol up here for you so that you can know what I'm talking about, later became the Trilateral Commission. Insignia. That's their insignia right there on the thing. And let me go deeper for this for you so that we keep going down here. So the Trilateral group was Gordon Dean, okay, George Bush, all right, and somebody named Brzezinski were all among them. The most important and influential of the wise men who served Majestic-12 was John McCoy, Robert Lovett, Averill Harriman, Charles Bowman, George Keeney, and Dean Exene. And it is significant that President Eisenhower, as well as the first six, were the members of the government, was also members of the Council of Foreign Relations. People, there is a connection of power that supersedes the embodiment of the people, us. And when you see them hosting congressional hearings, and you see the councilmen and congressmen saying, we want the truth, right? Or whatever their line is, let me make sure I give it a little more emphasis for you. When you see them saying, we want the truth, and then the other government officials saying, we want the truth, you can't handle the truth. It's a going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the people for us are sitting here telling these people we want the truth. And an honest opinion, my opinion too, and I'm not saying we don't deserve the truth. I did not say that. But I honestly think you can't handle the truth. Because it gets too deep.
You want the truth, you can't handle the truth.
It gets really deep if we go down that road, because it will defy logic. It will defy everyday presence of stability within the economy. It will defy mental anxiety from an astronomical place that we can't probably come back from. It would change history, not just history, but the future. It would change the world as we know it. It would probably change religion as it is, as a control mechanism that has been created to be, into a lawless place if all of this truth comes out. Now, I think it's better, as they said in Men in Black, that some of us get to know the truth. And the ones who do every day that adds to that section of people is great. But a person can handle the truth. Absolutely. I totally been vouching for that. But people, you think people can handle the truth?
Hell no.
It's not going to go down like that. It's not going to go down. And they know this. They've been knowing this. They have done studies on this. They will continue to do studies on this. They have done psychological studies on this. They have done personal studies. They have done whatever. Now, like I said, there's a cluster of folks like myself who are truth seekers. I'm not doubting that. And please, I'm not saying that. But do you think, obviously, that if someone came to this earth and laid down on this ground out here in an airplane and got on TV and said, I am. I'm all there is, ever was, and ever can be. It just mess up some heads with that line, period. And that's us anyway. You're all there is, ever, and can be, ever, whatever. But if you think that they want to do that on a global scale, and one person in the third grade, because it's not going to be an adult can't handle the question. But a third grader says, who is Jesus and who is God? Oh, blah, blah, blah. All bets off. It's a done deal. It is a done deal. The whole world collapsed from that third grader's question. Because, see, their minds are not tainted yet at a young age. They're going to ask the obvious. They're curious. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? They're going to ask that curious questions. And people ask me, Roderick, you're a Christian? Yeah, but I'm a curious Christian. But the kids are going to ask the question. And it's going to be crazy when that answer hits and nobody's ready for it. So I just want you to know when it goes down. So think about this now. A chosen few was later initiated into the adjacent society, and all their members of council with foreign relations. It was known as the Eastern Establishment. And this should give you a clue to the far-reaching, serious nature of the most secret college societies. Don't make no mistake about it. These people are lethal, by all means necessary, okay? And they carry a secret with them, a lot. The adjacent society is alive and well today, but is members of the Trilateral Commission, as well known as the Trilateralist, existed secretly several years before 1973, and the name of the Trilateral Commission was taken. Listen to this. This is why the secret society called themselves, or this thing, the Trilateral Commission. Let me expose something to you. You see that insignia right here on this page that I placed over there? Okay. Let me continue down this rabbit hole for you. And then we will get ready to come to, partial halt tonight, because we got more for this. But listen, the Trilateral Commission as well. The Trilaterals existed secretly several years before 1973, and the name of the Trilateral Commission was taken. Listen, it was taken from an alien flag known as the Trilateral insignia that I just put on the screen all this time. From an alien flag. They got this from an alien wearing this. And the symbol has been found on some of the spacecraft and their uniforms. So these crashed aliens who came from some organized society, some trilateral society wearing the triangle, which is a symbol, which is, in our secret symbols that we have. Let me put it up on screen so that you don't get confused that we are on our game here. It's right up there. See, we have our own insignia. We have our own insignia for our groups and stuff. Y'all gonna catch on. Y'all gonna catch on why it's necessary. These people ain't playing. That triangle, those circles, those cross, those X's, all that means stuff. But there's ancient symbolism, not words. This is why it exists right up here. The true versus authority protection symbol, sigil, insignia, whatever you want to call it. We're not playing with this stuff because we know. And now you know. And now you're welcome to the community if you're new when it comes down to it. But they found this on alien people, and they decided we're gonna do it. Have you seen all of the insignias that NASA and all of them uses? It's incredible of the messages that they send right in plain sight to the people, us, and we, the people. This is why I run the thing. Your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. This is why I do this. Your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. I don't care what your eyes see, but if your mind is blind, it ain't gonna know what it's seeing anyway. And most people's mind is blind, not their eyes. It's not their eyes. They can see. They just don't believe what they see, or they can't comprehend it, or they don't want to. Because they go with the ghetto boys. My mind playing tricks on me. That was a jam, by the way, if you're old enough to know this. If you're old enough to know it. So they had a study group. Now, tomorrow, or maybe Wednesday, but I think tomorrow. No, Wednesday, I'm sorry. We'll get into the alien genetic experimentation on the humans again. And the weapons that they used against the aliens And we're going to talk about the Fatima secrets, which I think is something for you to really know. I'll be on Forbidden Knowledge tomorrow, but we'll have a different topic. But I'll come back here Wednesday on my channel here, and then we'll do what we're doing. All right. So, as you know, we're going into talking about the alien interview. I think a lot of you may have got your copy already. If you didn't, it's in our Patreon PDF. If you got access to it, just go in there and download it. We're going to go into this in a few days, or maybe, depends on how much we finish from this Majestic-12 stuff, or going into next week. But we're going to go into this. And this all going to tie back to the yellow book. This is going to all tie into where we are with this. And it's important that we know. So real quickly, if you are in Dallas, here's an email address I'm going to put on the screen. Make sure you screenshot this right now. Screenshot it on your phone. And send me an email with your name and telephone number. Please do not leave out your telephone, your name. If you live in Dallas, we will add you to our list. We have a text list. We're going to meet at Keys Park. There's a little small pavilion. I think it's enough to hold 15, 20 of us, but if it's more, they will change. However, there is a location pending that's air conditioned in the inside, which may be better for us. And it's got a kitchen and all that. And maybe we can do some stuff with it. I'm going to take a look. But this is the date. Saturday, July 19th. So make sure y'all all know we're going to have our meet and greet. So be ready for that across the board. I wanted to get some accountability. So for those of you, there's 120 of us in here. So if you can hit the like button, let's see if we can get that over 100. All right, we need 7 likes. We need 7 likes to get 100. So if you have not liked the video, please pause and like the video and everything else. If you want one of these luminous pendants, like I said, this is a little starter chain. You want to get your own, like a little light silver chain though. Go to the website. We had almost ran out yesterday, but we got a few left. Go to the website and you can order it. And with the new word from what we just found out, I'll still call you from there. All right. So if you listen, I want to make a quick announcement to a personal thing to give you an update of something about me. And so if you're here for the show and you've gotten your information, you can go ahead and hop out now, because of this next 4 or 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you something I'm about to do. And maybe you too may need to. I've been really looking at my life and a lot of things that I've been trying to do better, reach and do. And I noticed that over the time, although I made some progress, is that I didn't do it hard enough. There's ideas and things I put out here we can do. But first of all, I need to really work on me in what I call an extreme mode. It's something that I learned. And I don't think I have the link, but I'll put the link to the video that you need to watch. This gentleman, Cody, something. But anyway, it's called the extreme mode, a monk mode. It's like disappearing for about 6 months. 6 months, disappearing. And it's time for me to get to that point. Now, however, not disappearing from you live streaming, so therefore I'll still be here. But there are some connections, except for a few people. You keep those people. But anyway, it's called the extreme. And what you have to do is break down everything that you're doing in life. And you have to, in order to make the necessary change, it has to be extreme. So extreme is an acronym, and so I'll go through each letter. But then if you're interested in knowing, like I said, there should be a video. Let me see if I go to my history, and then I'll put it in, and you can check it out too. Let me go to my YouTube history and see if I got that video. I'll click it. All right, and hold on. Uh-oh. That ain't work. Hold on. That didn't work. Give me a minute. I'm going to get it for you. All right. So this is a really good video. And so I'm going to put the link here for you. And y'all can check this out. But this is what I'm getting ready to do. There's a link to, it's somebody else's channel, but you can look at his video. The guy's really good. But the extreme is that you have to, everything collapses is where it is. But you got to have your trigger points, your core points, the truth, your task. And I'm just going to go, and I'm not going to go into the details on this particular show. I'll do it Thursday night in our private area. But you're talking about exile. You want to disappear. That's part of going extreme. No calls, no parties, no maybes or whatever. But the main part is that you have to develop your project that you're going to work on. You got to do your one weight thing, whatever it's going to be. And I'm talking like an exercise, whether it's a knowledge book that you're going to learn from. All of this stuff needs to be implemented. And like I say, there's a few people that are my friends who it's part of my plan of talk. But there's going to be a lot of other things I need to just cut off because I'm at a point in my personal life with the book. There's a couple other things, there's some projects I want to work on. There's other stuff that I need to eliminate, throw all that out the window is what I'm saying, and focus on one of the things that I have in which I have a plan, this is part. But you have to do what they call ruthless elimination. That's part of the R of the word extreme. Rip the Band-Aid off, cut it off, cut out all toxic people. You got to drain some of the habits that I have, no compromise on a few things. And you have to really put yourself into this extreme mode. And I'm at the threshold at being 25 times 2 plus 2 plus 3, that either I do this or I'm in some bigger trouble, especially going to the dentist this week and just seeing the medical bills of getting old and knowing that years ago, before I started doing this journey, I would have just wrote the check. But I started this influencer truth seeker journey, which cost me royally financially over the last years, but have given me spiritually and mentally and through the heart a more, world that I would have never imagined, in the people and the lives that, we're touching, doing what we're doing. But now I can streamline it to be good at what I do, not only, but also make life better, for myself and those around me. And you have to go through evolution through work protocols, what it's called. And that's one project, one book, one meditation, and one workout. So I got to streamline and say, here's this one project. Here's one book that I'm going to study from for the next 6 months, one meditation that I'm going to do every day, and one workout that I'm going to do every day. And it is time to really, truly get where I'm at. And I say this because I've opened myself up over the last 6 months to a year of talking, allowing, meeting people, doing things. But I wanted to keep my commitment of this meet and greet that we're going to be doing and all of this stuff so that we meet. And if we do anything, but at least at this point, we don't have the toxicity of what we're doing. But there's a lot of stuff that's going to get cut out. But my goal is for you, and I've said it before, to see the new me. So you can take a picture of what you see today, the personality, the person, the whatever, and 10x this regardless. And it is me being accountable and whatever. And it doesn't mean that it has to be a 500-pound weight loss either. It just means the betterment of who I am and will become and where I need to be. And I'm just making that announcement to say, not as being accountable, but at the point that I may not be as accessible as I was. because I will say this, I have over the last few weeks of being a lot accessible have been a tremendous thing. But then again, there are some great people and I love you all out there and everything else. And so my circle is where it is, as I should say. But at the end of the day, there are some things in situations that need to be off. And I got to do that. But, you know, and again, Lord, there's some of you who, you know, y'all know we talk. We don't have clashing conversations, so y'all are not included in this. But there's some stuff out there, I'll just tell you, that needs to be done, okay? And pretty much from there. But I need to do this so that I can get into a situation not only to help people that have helped me. I have everything I need. I don't have any more excuses. Now, of course, monetarily, you need money to continue to survive. But I have every tool, everything in my arsenal. I have every piece of equipment, every idea, every support structure. I have everything. I have no more excuses at all. And I've been totally blessed. And I've looked back over the wishes and things that I've wanted and asked for 2 years ago, 6 months ago, and I woke up a few days ago that it all exists. It just came in pieces, and you don't see it until you take inventory of your ideas, your dreams, your aspirations. And the last piece were me. I need to do my part and become that, because all the prayers, all the stuff I've asked for, it said, now you need to do your part. We gave it to you. You got it. You're here. So study more, wake up, get more energy, do all the stuff that you need to do. So anyway, I'm only making that because I want you to know that it's going down, that you got to have your spiritual anchors. You got to have your metaphor. You know, the current life is just, it's a faucet. You know, it's draining, and I got to close the faucet and make sure that, you know, my results of mental clarity, physical power, spiritual alignment, and vocational purpose. I have the project that's going to give me my vocational purpose. I have access to gather my spiritual alignment, and I will work more diligently on my physical power. And then the next part is mental clarity, because I do get distractions. There are things that distract me, not in the most harmful way, but just days that there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of things I want to do and said I can do, and all of that stuff. So I just wanted to make that announcement, but it doesn't stop me from live streaming and all of that. We're going to continue down that road and live stream, and because it is part of the project. But I am working on a bigger project. I'll make that announcement, which to me is my personal mission of what I'm going to do. But it will include some of you, maybe, who knows. But with that being said, I love each and every one of you. And, you know, again, you know, it is just a wonderful moment to be able to do what I do for a living and everything else. Even sometimes my immediate family don't know the lives that we touch as a community and what we do. But it's not all about that, right? Because it's hard for you to be a prophet in your own town, right? At the end of the day. Of course, I'm known a lot of places I go. I even go to the grocery store at night now. Somebody say, hey, I've seen you on your YouTube, or I've seen you on this thing, or you were on TV, and they'll be like, yeah, that's me. So, you know, that's fine. And then, you know, last part is, I think in about 6 months, I'll be ready to date again, right? Openly. Who knows? You know, but all that's part of the preparation, because there was no need for me to do all of that while I'm trying to build what I'm building. But we have made a lot of accomplishments as a community together and things. I've made a lot of things that I've said we can do. Some things I didn't follow through with it. Some things I wanted to follow through with it. Sometimes my mind and idea was bigger than the book, the pocketbook to finance the deal. Now I get why the government do all the black budgeting stuff. You can say you want to build a weapon all day long, but if you don't raise the money, you ain't building it. So we can have a weapon for the community of doing what we're doing, but if we ain't got the funds to build that weapon of open-mindedness, it doesn't work at all. But my goal is to get to a point where it's not about your contributions. If I do what I'm supposed to do and what I'm capable of doing and what I am going to do, the system is going to pay for all of this. You know, the ad revenue is going to pay for all this. The sponsors are going to pay for all of this. We're going to build that empire, or building the empire, so that I can do more. And then maybe when y'all make that phone call, somebody say, hey, can you help me with this? Or whatever. It's just a drop in the bucket. They're our community. You get what I'm saying? And so, because I've been helped over the years, unbelievable, by some amazing people. And I remember, as I come to a close, that it's something I heard somewhere, and it was like, it's not about a lack of money. It's not about a lack of or help. You know, along the way, there will be people who will help you, and people have. There will be people who will make it less difficult for you, and there have been people who have. But ultimately, the one driving force, the one force is you, which is me and you. We're the one, and we have to put the final signature on it. And so for those who've been here, who continue to be here, who've helped me through some of the most trying times, some of you are here, I can only say thank you. I owe you, and I won't let you down. But nothing will be as it was ever again. That's my promise. All right, so I got to go. I will talk to each and every one of you. We will talk. I got that SSD, Roderick. I want to help. All right. Well, reach out to me. You got my email, Dr. Strange, or if you got my number already, hit me up. We will go from there. All right. So, but again, love you all, and see you Wednesday here, tomorrow on Forbidden Knowledge. Later.
Why did Ruby shoot Oswald? Was there a conspiracy?
In a world shrouded in darkness and obscured by deception from the big secret keepers, a burning question ignites in the hearts and minds of truth seekers. Why? Let's dive into the abyss of the unknown. Challenge the limits of our understanding.
This bizarre sequence of double killings raised great questions. Who actually fired the shot that killed Kennedy?
Pierce the veil of secrecy.
Cattle found dead and the manner of their deaths are a real mystery.
Anyone who is concerned about lead in the drinking water in Flint.
And venture into the realm of conspiracies and extraterrestrial evidence.
A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
Let us consider the question, why the big secret?